peace process. Harold Sanders defines peace process as a political process in which conflicts are resolved by peaceful means. They are a mixture of politics, diplomacy, changing relationships, negotiations, and mediation, and dialogue in both official and unofficial arenas. Tim Cisco defines peace process as a step-by-step reciprocal moves to build confidence, resolve uh, gallery issues such as disarmament, and uh, carefully define the future through the design of new political institution. When I was a school student, I was suffered from civil war, and one of my relatives was dead in war during that tough time. At that time, I started to think about how to create peace. To create peace, I think about my my situation and peace building is a simultaneous short and mid a long-term process aimed at peace conciliation, and it is important to start this article by noting two things that have influenced South Africa's involvement in conflict resolution on the continent. First is the conviction that conflicts deter development on the continent through sheer destruction that can cause massive death and displacement of civilians and destroying the little infrastructure in existence. Furthermore, conflicts perpetuate the negative images of Africa as the dark continent and by extension prevent external investments which are necessary for unlocking the continent riches. The purpose of this research study is to find out the domestic international politics obtained by Nelson Mandela during his governance. The question why did I want to find out, especially Mandela's peacekeeping policies, comes out in our mind. When I was a school student in my homeland, one of my relatives was dead in battlefield. It hurts me too much. After that, I think about how to create peace and live happily. During that time, there were armies in Nepal for peacekeeping process. At that situation, I started to read about many popular leaders through books and newspaper. Then in the Kathmandu Post, there is a written now about Nelson Mandela. After reading about Nelson Mandela, I have a curiosity about Nelson Mandela and his deeds. I read about Nelson Mandela, but I cannot find that what the ways to keep peace are. After meeting Suzuki, since I came to know the policies are the ways to apply any kinds of rules, constitution, and regulations, then I plan to find out the peace social policies by Nelson Mandela in South Africa. After detailing the policies of Nelson Mandela, which are useful and successful to keep peace in South Africa, we can use these policies in other countries and places where people are suffering from battle. For that, I'm going to find out the peace social policies in three chapters. And first is historical overview. I will try to find out the historical context of South Africa from 1845 to 1999. And in second chapter, I'm trying to find out Nelson Mandela's foreign policy during his governance and during the revolution time, where when he was a president of ANC, African National Congress. In chapter 3, I am trying to find Nelson Mandela laws. What did he do during his prison time, and what he did during his governance, and what he did before he was jailed in South Africa. And in chapter 4, I am trying to find out Nelson Mandela's socio-economic policies, which helps to apply RDP, Reconstruction and Development Program in South Africa. And another one is the Truth and Reconciliation Commission (TRC) in 1995, an analysis of growth, employment, and redistribution gear macroeconomic policies uh, by Nelson Mandela's governance. For that, I'm trying to find out the second influence has been South Africa's Conference for Democratic South Africa CODESA process, which is seen as a mirror for conflict resolution on the continent. The two main elements of the CODESA negotiations are inclusiveness and compromise. However, the South Africa CODESA experience is not replicable everywhere on the continent as the conditions. And another one is I'm trying to find out I'm trying to find out the role of Nelson Mandela in South Africa to go through to try to find out the policies and plans which are obtained by three presidents Mandela, Mbeki and Zuma from 1994 to 99, 99 to 2008 and after 2008. uh, in the Mandela's foreign policies, I am trying to find put some issues which is obtained by Nelson Mandela and declared that South Africa's foreign policy in 1994. It is written in African National Congress, a book which is published by African National Congress and which is written by Mandela. The issues of human rights are central to international relations and understanding that the action beyond the political, embracing the economic, social, and environmental. And that peace is a goal for which all nations should strive, and where this breaks down internationally agreed and non-violent mechanisms, including hit arm control systems, must be employed. In the beginning, as I said that Nelson Mandela is an ideal person and his policies are somehow idealistic, but they are empirical too. South Africa's key economic policies are the RDP is popular in South Africa, and I'm trying to find out some point through the South African history online from internet. They are as follows. In 1995, it is printed in the white paper, and the 5 points are: create a strong, dynamic, and balanced economy, develop human resource capacity of all South Africans, ensure that no one suffers racial or gender discrimination in hiring or promotion or training situation, develop a prosperous, balanced regional economy in South Africa, democratize the state and society. At last, I would like to conclude my thesis views through the with the world in contrast flux, the challenges facing governments become increasingly complex. Only time will tell whether the next South African president will be able to balance the dual demands of domestic and global demands. Which theoretical approach will be useful to explain his foreign policy decision. At that time, Mbeki and Mandela was known as an idealist and realist somehow, but